And all I can say, Madam Speaker, is the American people deserve better. And they certainly deserve better than the Speaker of the House spending his time trying to influence our justice system at a courthouse in New York City. How pathetic. When we have real problems that we need to deal with here in this country, he's in New York trying to explain away, like a staffer, all of Donald Trump's problems, quite frankly. I'm trying to think of a way to stay with an order here with the new rules. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. That's where the Speaker of the House is spending his time, trying to rationalize all of
anti-Israel protesters from taking to the streets just a day after the horrific attacks and the butchery of Israeli civilians to chant "From the river to the sea." There's some people that serve in this building that take their time and like to chant "From the river to the sea," and they need to be held accountable for that, which we know is synonymous language with the extermination of the Jewish people in Israel. We are learning more and more about the left-wing groups and donors that are bankrolling the anti-Israel, anti-Semitic protests that have erupted across the country. We know that the far left, including members of the House, that have fully endorsed this message to turn against our ally Israel in their hour of need and to isolate them and to ultimately support their destruction. Madam Speaker, I am done hearing the false equivalencies of a morally bankrupt movement.
We haven't heard a single word from our colleagues across the aisle acknowledging the very real challenges civilians in Gaza are experiencing every day under this war. Not a single word. If we send massive 2,000-pound bombs to Netanyahu without any assurances on how they will be used, it could mean unprecedented, catastrophic civilian casualties. I mean, these are people that we are talking about, innocent people, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, moms and dads, grandparents, babies. Where is our humanity? Where is our humanity? These are people who are already struggling with shortages of food, water, shelter, medical supplies, the basic things that humans need to survive. They fled to Rafah because that's where Netanyahu told them to go to escape the bombing of Hamas. And now Netanyahu is saying he is going to bomb them anyways, and there's no plan to safely evacuate them to any other place. I don't care what any country does, but killing civilians, I don't care when there's another country that does it, but killing civilians is wrong, always wrong, always wrong. And you can be a friend of Israel, a strong ally of Israel, and also be a critic when it comes to the Netanyahu government. You can be a strong friend of Israel and say that more massive civilian casualties will undercut Israel's security. This is not the way to go. This is not the way to go. And you can feel, as I do, that what happened on October 7th, the horrific attack by Hamas on Israeli civilians, is unconscionable. Adjectives are not there are not enough adjectives to describe how horrific that is. The taking of hostages is a war crime. We want them released. You can feel that way, but also understand that we have an obligation to protect civilian lives in Gaza. And I'm grateful to President Biden for taking the step that he did. And I wish he would do more, quite frankly. And it is disappointing for me to see that so many of my friends across the aisle seem indifferent to it. And then to come down here and get lectured about crime from the party whose leader is a criminal is really something else. I mean, my friend from New York, not once, rebutted our contention that Republicans have advocated cutting the cops' grants, because it's here in print. Anybody can see it. And for those who want to know why this program is good, because it provides money to help a lot of local law enforcement be able to hire and recruit police officers, especially in areas where budgets are tight. It is a lifeline for so many communities, rural and urban, all throughout this country. And they're advocating eliminating it. I mean, give me a break. None of the measures the House of Representatives are putting forth this week do a single thing to protect Americans, secure our communities, or improve law enforcement. And the real shame here is that if Republicans were willing to set their partisanship aside and work across the aisle, maybe, just maybe, we could get something substantive done. Because the reality is that Democrats want to keep people safe, and we know how to do it. We need to invest in programs that get at the root causes of crime, and we need to address gun violence in our schools and make sure police aren't put in situations where they aren't trained to handle. And we know the key to improving safety in our neighborhoods is not to use our law enforcement officers like political pawns. And at the end of the day, the Republicans' commitment commitment to chaos and extremism and politicking over legislating is hurting our ability to improve people's lives. I think it's going to backfire on you. I have to be honest with you. Even one of our Republican colleagues took to the floor and said as much last year, and I quote, "Nothing but empty promises." He went on to say, "We haven't done anything," meaning Republicans. One thing I want my Republican colleagues to give me is one thing. One, that I can go campaign on and say we did. One, anybody sitting in this complex, if you want to come down to the floor and explain to me one material, meaningful, significant thing the Republican majority has done, end quote. That's a Republican saying that. They know they are getting nowhere in this Congress. Madam Speaker, the American people, as I said, deserve better. I urge a strong no vote on this rule. This is just a waste of time. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time. Yeah, well, Mr. Speaker, let me just say, I've never heard so much BS in my life, to be honest with you. And let me just remind my colleagues that Donald Trump, the guy they apologize for constantly, is the one who let Iran attack U.S. troops. Donald Trump is the one who allowed not one, but dozens of Chinese spy balloons to fly overhead without telling us. Donald Trump is the one who gave classified Israeli intelligence to the Russians, intelligence they could have given to Iran. Donald Trump is the one who went to North Korea, remember that? And tried to get a brutal dictator to love him. He said, hey, Kim Jong-un and I are in love. Donald Trump is the one who tried to extort Ukraine by withholding our aid, and he was impeached over it. Donald Trump praises Putin. He fawns over Xi Jinping and Viktor Orban. And he says Kim Jong-un love letters. How pathetic. How pathetic. You know, Donald Trump is the one who praised an angry mob who attacked the United States Capitol and injured people. That's all good for my friends on the other side. At every step of the way, Trump stood with America's adversaries and those who oppose democracy. I'm sorry that it's an inconvenient truth for my Republican friends, but it is the truth. And contrast that with Joe Biden. Joe Biden rallied the world to Ukraine's defense. He defended our ally Israel and their airspace. And he has rebuilt our image on the world stage and has stood up for democracy. My friends on the other side said nothing when the previous president was apologizing and praising every tin-horn dictator in the world who had no regard for human rights. Democrats are the party of democracy. Republicans can use whatever rhetoric they want about the far left or the far left that. Their party has been radicalized by MAGA extremists. Here we are at this late date debating legislation that is going nowhere, when in fact our allies, specifically Ukraine, is out of money and out of equipment to defend themselves against Russia. And my friends just sit there and twiddle their thumbs. This is pathetic. This is pathetic.